today when there's so many things you can buy, like if you're, I can't stop myself from making things. I really like to make things. And so there's, I think, somewhat of a moral obligation. If you're gonna make things, they need to be good. And so to me, that's like well built and it lasts a long time. I'm Adam Sklar and we're here at my workshop in Bozeman, Montana. This one is built in 1938 and that makes it my oldest machine. Makes a little bit of noise, but it makes nice parts. I love it, but it's like, I don't know, they're just, someone asked me that question once, like, what tool would you grab if your shop was on fire? And there's nothing in here I would grab. I would, like maybe my bikes, but probably my laptop, my camera, but there's so many of these things in the world that are rusting in someone's garage that you could, it's just like, no spiritual connection. So I moved to Bozeman in 2011 and I moved here for school. I went to MSU, or Montana State, for engineering school. And I've been here ever since. Well, so this is specific for this frame. So I do a different one of these drawings for every frame I build. Because the chainstay length is gonna vary, the wheel and tire size is gonna vary. You might have different drivetrains with different, numbers of chain rings or chain lines, the distance from your chain ring to the center of your frame. I used to do all these by hand and that was fun and romantic and everything, but it's not as accurate and takes a lot of time. And it's really nice that people have invented computers for us that do so much work for us, so I can spend my time on important things. Until the 1930s, engineering schools were part of an art department at a school, so that's why you look at design from that era, and it's all, there's the math behind it, there's the integrity behind it, but then there's also an art to it. Like stuff from that time looks really good too, because the people designing things were able to do both. But yeah, engineering has a lot to do with design and calculation, and that stuff's really important when you're building things, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you can put it together and make it into a physical thing. Which is where the craft comes in this. So the way I look at it, a lot of those engineering ideas, they're kind of in the back of my mind, and when I need to really focus on them, I can pull them out. Yeah, so a lot of people know me for my oval and curved top tubes. And that's actually something I started doing because I wanted to make the oval for how it rides. So the oval top tube, it's wider this way, which means we have a bigger moment of inertia side to side. So that basically just means it's stiffer this way, flexier up and down, which means especially on a mountain bike or any bike you're riding off-road, which is what I mostly do, you're getting, when you're hitting rocks and stuff or terrain, you have more predictable handling, but on that rough stuff, it's also able to flex up and down, which makes it more fun to ride, more comfortable. It's like the engineer in me is that it has to work well first, and then you get to make it look good. That's like that's good engineering to me. So Tom Younks, who taught me to build bikes, he was a professional ski racer, and in the summers he would go coach ski racing in the Dolomites. And he was building frames then, but there wasn't the internet to learn from, and he visited all these Italian frame shops, and he had stories of old guys brazing, no glasses on, just squinting. And they all had cigarettes hanging out of their mouth as they're building these frames. That's right, that's Italian steel. That's the stuff people romanticize over. And it sounds pretty romantic to me. Yeah, another cool thing about building frames is that I got to be part of this community of people who are making bikes, and it's a really small world, and they're all, it feels like you're people when you go find other people who like to hang out in garages by themselves making things, who also love to ride bikes, and that's a good starting place for a lot of relationships. These are some photos from the builders camp we did this summer, which was an event where we got a bunch of people who make bikes to come together, but mostly we were riding bikes. And I guess the common thread was just that we all make bikes. But I think this is the whole squad. We got Thomas from Horse, Cam Falconer, Chris from Squid, Curtis, Emily Squid, Nick, who was with Kitspo at the time, me, Carl Strong, who's in town. There's Tony, Nick from Horse, Colin from Mystic, Eric from Alliance. Riding around, county trails, eating wild crumb, sitting in rivers. It's a good time. I had a bunch of friends who were into riding coaster brake bikes, and I thought it'd be fun to try. So one weekend I came and dug a bunch of tubes out of the scrap bin and put it together. And it happens to have turned into one of my favorite bikes. It's just super fun. Coaster brake. I'll take it to the grocery store. I'll take it on our county trails. And I probably ride it the most of any of my bikes. It's just nice to hop on and not worry about anything at all, because there's really nothing to go wrong except for not being able to stop.